Welcome to Nasdaq TradeTalks. I'm your host, Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. We're coming to you from CES in Las Vegas, Nevada, and joining me for this segment, we have Josh Oberski. He is the Director of Investor Relations at Gentex, and we are here to discuss advancing automotive technology and how it is making vehicles safer. Josh, it is great to have you with us. Welcome to TradeTalks, and we were talking about this off camera, but what used to be the EV Hall is now the Vehicle Tech and Safety Innovation Hall.
Yeah.
And this, in the past 2 to 3 years, it looks like a completely different space.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely, Jill. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
I think that one of the most interesting pieces of what you see on the trade show floor today is just that exact shift of everyone talking about electrification 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and now a lot of that shift has gone back into an autonomous focus where you're adding in additional cameras, additional sensors, and it starts to ask the question for OEMs of like, how do they differentiate in a fully autonomous vehicle? And we think that there's a handful of trends that are going to play into this. So comfort and convenience factors. If you look around the trade show floor today, you're going to see a lot of focus on in-cabin function and features. Everything from high-end stereos to AI chatbots to the things that Gentex is doing. Dimmable sunroofs, dimmable visors, comfort and convenience features that make the riding or driving experience a lot better. I think it's very interesting to see that kind of flow across the trade show floor today.
So with Gentex, what are you recognized with around the world in terms of the technology that you're deploying?
Sure, so we're best known for our interior and exterior auto-dimming mirrors. We ship about 50 million of those in a given year. We, from an automotive perspective, we're about 90% of the automotive auto-dimming mirror market. But today, what we use CES for is an opportunity to kind of showcase all of the future technologies that our OEMs use. So we're all optional content. We provide value for the OEM. We have an incredibly rigorous quality standard that we hold ourselves to, and we're bringing them everything from point-to-point RF communication, in-vehicle payment systems, auto-dimming interior and exterior mirrors, cameras and displays. You don't mind me asking, what kind of car do you drive, Jill?
I have an X3.
All right, so so within yours, your interior mirror and your driver's side mirror, those are from Gentex. Thank you for being
that's why I'm looking, I'm thinking, okay, what do I have in my car that I know that this is relative to, but here you're demonstrating your mirror integrated DMS. So you're tracking driver head pose, eye gaze, and other metrics. What is that going to allow Gentex to do? And then what does that mean from an autonomous industry perspective, and then perhaps safety as well? You know, thinking eyes straight ahead, there's got to be something there as it relates to safety. Yeah.
So a lot of the focus right now on the safety regulations, making sure that in an autonomous environment, the driver is able to take control of the vehicle again. And so making sure that the driver's paying attention, keeping the eyes on the road, willing to re-engage in the driving task. A lot of that is driven by Euro NCAP regulation. It's not forcing an OEM to integrate these technologies, but it gives them additional safety points if they do integrate it. And so things like our full display mirror with driver monitoring system get you about 70% of the points that are possible through this integration, just from a simple integration of our Gentex technology. So
it's really interesting because as a consumer, in the way I think about it, I mean, you sound more like you know, a tech futuristic company than you know, an automotive company, which is just, I mean, every industry there's an element of tech there. But when I think of airbags and safety regulations and the mandates for the mirrors, what's called the backwards mirrors, to me, like those two are really identifiable moments in time where it is part of safety. It's just something we expect. We don't think about it. Airbags,
hard to drive without it.
You just don't think about it, right?
Absolutely.
It feels as if what we're talking about here is the next iteration of that. Backup cameras, okay, we get it, but now this is like, this will, in 3 to 5 years from now, it's just part of it.
Absolutely, and I think what we're hearing from our OEM customers is that a lot of the safety features they like having, but the intrusiveness of having a camera pointed in your face, making sure that you're paying attention to the driving task, a lot of consumers don't like. And so having the optionality of turning some of these things on or off, or having them integrated behind glass, the camera's still there, the camera can still see and observe the driver, but you don't have that in your face the entire time, intruding on your driving experience, is something that a lot of consumers are interested in, and a lot of OEMs are interested in. We can bury those sensors behind the glass and keep them out of the way. So a lot of OEMs right now are using them kind of like on the driver, on the steering wheel, like the stalk that comes out.
I'm trying to think what do I have.
It's right in your face. I don't know how BMW integrates it, but Yeah, so for our integration, it's a much more seamless integration, and it can be used across not just car lines, but across like regional differentiation. So if you want a car in Europe to have this functionality, our system is easier to integrate than one that's built into the rest of the center stack or the vehicle infotainment, because you could just swap in a different mirror and have this functionality added in. So it gives a lot of versatility to design and styling of the OEMs.
It certainly does, and I think that's probably what OEMs are looking for, because this technology is evolving so fast.
Very fast.
And there's cost involved, and then being in a competitive landscape. I had a company yesterday tell me it used to take 60 months from concept to manufacturing.
Yeah.
It's 24 months now.
Yeah.
Right. So having some flexibility for the product, I'm sure, is something that they're thinking about.
Yeah, yep, and I mean for Gentex, when we have a cadence at CES, usually it's the first year we show a technology and kind of throw it against the wall, see if there's consumer interest, see if there's OEM interest, and then in the second year we usually have like a more production intent product, and then usually by year 3 we're actually announcing like wins or launches on this. You can see some of our DMS technology that's launching right now across a handful of OEMs. But that is one of the things that we use CES for. I mean, there's tons of engineers here, there's tons of design teams here. So being able to access all those teams and show them our technology is a very valuable use of our time.
So the mirror integrated DMS, that's third year. Like this is.
Yep. So we are already shipping with two OEMs right now. More coming in the future. As DMS is partially regulatory driven, and so it'll start flowing out and really increase more in like the 2026 timeframe, but we're on kind of the front end of that right now, and still a lot of OEMs are kind of trying to figure out like, all right, how do I make sure that I've got enough points, how do I make sure that I get this into the vehicles in the regions where it's required, and they don't want to have to retool the rest of the vehicle, so we're getting a decent amount of interest and traction from that at our booth this week.
It's really interesting that you bring that up, and this might be a little bit abstract and out of your lane, pardon the pun.
No.
As we think about autonomous driving becoming the norm, and advanced safety features to improve the experience and save lives.
Yep.
Because there's no like regulatory framework, let's call it, around autonomous driving yet.
Yep.
Does the industry, is there a standard that's available, or do you share, outside of proprietary design work and so forth, does the industry share data points that they're getting? As an example, if your eyes are 30% this way all the time, there's this much more chance of an accident. Is the industry sharing this or standardizing it in any way, or just waiting for guidance more?
Yeah, so there's some guidance that's coming out from NHTSA, North American Highway Transportation Safety Administration. They're working through these things because, again, to your point, it's a very new technology and they're trying to get their hands around it. They don't want to standardize something that doesn't do enough, but they also don't want to set the bar too high where it's like an unachievable process. So even when you go back to like the backup camera initiative, that was a technology that Gentex already had. OEMs were well aware of. They had done it as an optional feature and made a lot of money on it. But to integrate that across car lines did require the OEMs to kind of redesign and rethink all of the integration of this. Because once you have a camera there, you don't just want it to be part of the bill of materials. So this is also where Gentex is focused on driver monitoring and in-cabin monitoring systems. Is once you have a higher end camera that can do driver monitoring, OEMs start to ask the question of like, all right, what else can that camera do? And so we're using it for things like iris authentication to confirm it's you in the car, maybe unlock or enable or disable. Correct. Maybe no more key fobs in the car of the future. Phone knows it's you, car knows it's you because your phone, but then if I stole your phone, would I be able to start your car? If you have dual iris authentication, the only thing that's more accurate is DNA. And the willingness to lick something or stab yourself to prove it's you is kind of post-COVID, nobody really wants to do that.
I was just going to say, it's just so fascinating. The more data that you guys collect, because data begets new products and so forth. It's like your mind never starts, your engineers are constantly thinking about it.
Yeah, we love giving them new tools. A lot of the stuff that you see at our booth this year is kind of brand new, off-the-shelf stuff. And it's fun to see them getting access to these new tools and then letting their minds kind of run crazy and saying like, all right, what can we do with this?
Super cool. All right, appreciate the insight. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks.
Thanks, Jill.
And thanks for joining me from CES. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.